Our coverage on the ceasefire continues with reactions here at home. Western Mass News reporter Reagan Locree joins us in studio with a live report.
And Reagan, what are you hearing from local advocates about what's happening?
Everyone wants to be optimistic.
Difficulties there, but she spoke with people from both sides of the aisle earlier today who told her they are relieved. However, they do say it may be too soon to celebrate quite yet.
Cautiously optimistic, celebrating, but a wary celebration.
In the past, and because where this is coming from, but I feel.
Western Mass News also spoke with a well-known local advocate for Palestinian causes, Priscilla Lynch. Lynch is a member of Demilitarized Western Mass and has participated in several local pro-Palestinian protests, both during the current war in Gaza and decades before. She tells Western Mass News, similar to the Jewish Federation of Western Massachusetts, her group is also feeling cautiously optimistic, but for different reasons.
I know what our government has been doing for the past 2 years and how we've participated in this and how we've really chosen not to take a leading role and to stop what's happening in Palestine and in Gaza.